I am a neuroscientist by academic training. I've always wanted to work for NASA. I got my bachelor's in biology, my master's in mechanical engineering, PhD in neuroscience. I was hired on in NASA in 2001 because they needed someone with a mechanical engineering and a biology background to work on biomedical hardware for the space station. So I spent the first 10 years or so, or 8 years or so at NASA as an engineer, and the last 10 years as a scientist in the International Space Station office, where I now work with the chief scientist of the space station to integrate and communicate and keep an eye on the science that happens on the International Space Station. Space is important for a few reasons, and it depends on who you ask. People like to wax poetic on how human exploration is in our genetics and it's just what we do and it's inspiring and we want to go, and that's just who we are. And it's very true. We do have that need to see what's next and explore what's next, and that's very inspirational and it's very motivational. I think space is important because it's a resource for science and engineering, technology development that we don't have access to here on Earth. There are experiments that we can do in the microgravity environment, for example, that when you take the gravity vector away, you see all kinds of new phenomena and you get all kinds of new results that you would have never seen here on Earth. And that tells us more about what we think we know here on Earth, but we really don't. And so it's a little philosophical for me in a science way, because I like to think of space as a never-ending resource for us to just learn more. So there is a perception that it's tougher to get girls into science and engineering type projects and programs. But I think there's a good number of girls out there who are already innately interested, and most everybody's interested in the world around them. So I think it's important that we communicate with girls in ways that they understand about why they should engage in science and engineering and math. In the case of my own daughter, I have a 12-year-old, I use the opportunity to integrate science every day in her life, and she's more interested in art. But there are ways to even pull art into science and engineering examples. So I think it's a challenge to get at some of these girls if we don't know how to communicate it with them, the importance of STEM and why they play a really good role, and also why they're probably more interested than they even realize. Let's face it, not every student's going to want to go into STEM. Some are going to want to go into other areas, and we need all kinds too. But what you want to do is make sure you've identified the ones that have just a tiny little spark of interest, because those are the ones that we need to nurture that interest for, meet them where they are, show them how science and education and technology and engineering and math are all important in their daily lives, how it's all around us, and those are the ones you want to grab onto and figure out how to communicate with them on that.